Hi, I'm Sheldon MacLeod with SaltWire, and there are more than a few reasons to talk about something that's coming up in just a few weeks. There's something new to tell you about the 27th annual event, and it's Stanfest, and it's the event that happens, the Stan Rogers Folk Festival in Canso, Nova Scotia. We have two guests here to join us. Troy Greencorn, as we know, is the executive director. That's a role you've held for how long now?
Since the beginning, so this will be 27 this year.
And there's perhaps a new face to the team, and Steve McIntyre. Tell me, as artistic director, how did that happen?
I don't know.
What's the origin story? How did you end up part of the team?
I performed at the festival for a couple of years. I'm a singer-songwriter.
Right.
I've got some education in music, in the music business, and just, like to promote shows of my own with friends of mine, and it just sort of, jumped into the life, and Troy came knocking, and here we are.
So what is artistic director? What did you hire him for? What's his job?
Well, in the festival world, the artistic director essentially hires the talent, plans the show, executes the show, and and then the rest of the team, we support that. We sell the tickets and put all the pieces together.
So why now? It's a role that clearly is important or integral, and going forward, you're the most valuable guy leading up to the opening night and getting the festival ready. So why is this a role that took this long to get?
It was a big step, and we've known for a couple of years that we had to grow the team. And so we've been looking for just the right fit, just the right person, and we've kind of had our eye on Steve for a couple of years. Great mix of industry skills, also with some family in the community. Mm-hmm. And as you know, in rural Nova Scotia, that's pretty important.
Yeah, with the price of rent these days.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's that. Yeah, so, and then this year we are doing some new things that are actually making the festival quite a bit bigger,
right,
and longer.
And we're going to talk about that because the roadshow is brand new. So why was this a good fit for you right now? Because you kind of alluded to you took the stage and you never left.
Yeah, I think it would have been a good fit for me at any time. I love the event, and as Troy said, I've got family in Guysborough County, in Little Dover, just outside of Canso. So, I've been there forever, basically, and I, with the experience that I've gained in the last, 10, 15, 20 years, time gets real short. We were talking about it before we went on air here.
It compresses as you get older, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just seemed like a good fit for me, and it was something I was really eager to do and happy to take on. Yeah.
We're going to talk again about the lead up, but that man right there, I think for a lot of folks, one of the last images they may have of Bruce Guthro was, as last year's festival was about to get underway, he was scheduled to perform, and he wasn't able to, as he described in a video that he posted. It was for health reasons, and then it was an impromptu song in a pub, in a club. Tell me why the circle continues. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think every festival has a home team, has a group of artists that are a real important part, and Bruce was a big part of the home team for Canso. He performed at the first festival, and just as we were being born, his career was really notching up. And then over the years, so over 26 years, he played all but 3 festivals. 2 were cases where he was traveling with Runrig.
And then, of course, Irish band that he was also a member of.
Yeah. And then last year, where health prevented it. So, and then beyond that, Bruce was a great friend of us all. He's someone who many times over the years I went to for advice. He was a talent scout. I'd get a message from Bruce. He might be in Scotland, he might be in England, and he'd be telling me about an artist. And, I remember him giving me a tip about a promising young artist who would be a great fit, and that was Johnny Reid.
Right.
So stuff like that over the years. So last year it was just so heartbreaking, to get that news or get the certainty of that news.
Right.
And then at the same time, we really felt honored that Bruce chose us to help share the news with the world. It just kind of cemented that relationship. So as we started to plan this year, we knew that we should and that we would do something special for Bruce. And then the idea that has emerged was to make it our Thursday night concert. So this wonderful concert has come together. We've announced 9 artists, but there's all kinds of surprises and all kinds of magic that will happen that night. And it's almost a year later, so it's mostly about celebrating Bruce and his work. So we're gonna celebrate and party and dance and have a great night, just like Bruce would want us to. And we're probably gonna see the sun come up just as Bruce would want us to. And I'm sure there'll be a tear or many. It's a magical way to start the weekend.
I think it's fitting given, he was known for songwriter circles. So that circle, that analogy, you could bring that from his first performances at the event to right to where people are going to be there to remember and have a drink in his honor and sing a song to remember the man. Steve, do you have a connection? Was there a time that you can remember Bruce Guthro and how you may have interacted with him?
Oh, absolutely. I remember one time at a local pub years and years ago, Bruce getting up to sing a Stan Rogers song, and I just sort of muscled my way up there with him somehow, and I requested this particular song, and he said it's not really one I can do by myself, and I said, well, that's why I'm here, right? Pretty bold.
Yes, yeah. Well.
But when we got to the chorus and I hit the harmony, he looked over at me and he said, that's pretty good, man, And
how did that feel, getting that kind of?
It felt pretty great, It felt pretty good. I mean, Bruce was known at this time, and I certainly wasn't. I was just some young fella, right?
Yeah.
Another time in Canso, Bruce pulled up to our campsite, unbeknownst to all of us, jumped out, grabbed a guitar, had a few tunes with the gang, jumped back in, went up and played the main stage, and he was just that kind of guy, right? He was just such a champion for everybody, and it's going to be a real special evening to get to honor him in that way.
And as we get a little closer, clearly some of the other fine details may become more apparent to people, but tickets are on sale right now if people want to book their place and space. And as we know, it's not just a festival, but it's a gathering, very much so.
Yeah, we've set up the Thursday night sort of as a standalone event, and it's kind of a good way for people to sample the festival, to come and see the scale of it and the caliber, and and of course we know that once people come, they won't leave. Yeah. It's we were a big part of the show that happened last year in September, the celebration of life for Bruce, and there was so many great stories. Like, he was truly one of a kind. One of the stories that I shared with the audience was one in 2014. We had kind of what in the festival business is the absolute worst case scenario, where a hurricane forecast pops up, and 2 days out we have to cancel the festival. And how do you even do that? There's thousands of people on the move, and anyway, we did. And then, no surprise, Bruce arrives in Canso anyway. And he just decided, okay, the volunteers and the organizers and the community are going to be having a real hard time, so I'm just going to go. So he did a concert for the volunteers one night, and he played for people in the campgrounds the next night. That's Bruce, and that's the connection.
How many times do we as Maritimes, maybe as Canadians, we have people who are fabulously talented, incredible people, and they may not be as well known in their own country as they are in other places, in other spaces. a festival like this allows you folks to bring people together and kind of celebrate that. This is new, the roadshow. COVID is over. The pandemic and what it did to the arts is now a bit of a footnote. Mm-hmm. It sounds like people are really, really embracing it. What was it like trying to pre-book and ask people to show up beforehand for some of the other events that are now part of the program?
Well, we have a really strong event, a real central, strong weekend event. Strong brand that can sort of accommodate this sort of growth, at least in people's perception. So they'll sit up and pay attention when you say Stanfest. So we knew we had something to offer, right? And the roadshow, it was sort of born. I think of it in the same way as the way the festival was born. It was born out of adversity, in the sense that Troy mentioned a hurricane, but that wasn't the only weather-related incident in Canso over the years, and got to a point where you had to start asking some tough questions. Do we continue to do this and face this weather and we had talked to friends and colleagues across the country who were at the same crossroads in a sense. They'd really been hammered by weather in the last number of years all over the country, whether it's rain or it's flooding or it's fires or the smoke from those fires. Yep. Everybody's getting affected, so everybody has to adapt or die, basically. And so the roadshow, part of what that does is it just allows us to move into and under some roofs around the county. There's so many wins, I think, that can be taken from this. You get out of the weather, you move out into the communities around you, thereby sort of spreading that love around. The economic advantages are there. Guysborough County is beautiful. I don't know if you've had, I'm sure you've driven through it.
Well, it's so easy to bypass on your way to Cape Breton without maybe stopping.
But you take the time, and it's so worth it. I drove home from Canso the other day, and I just thought, oh my God, this is beautiful, right? I want people to see this. I want them to take it in. I want them to come and stay, And so, the programming of it, we had a real strong roster coming for the weekend. Mm-hmm. And so some of those people we were able to just persuade to come a little bit earlier. Others we brought in a little, like in a special kind of a case for these shows specifically. Mm-hmm. And so it's been a real treat to put it together. It hasn't been difficult and hair pulling. It's been a lot of fun and exciting,
I'm seeing on Monday the 22nd of July through to Tuesday, the Wednesday, obviously the Thursday night. Is there a package that if I want to do all of this, does that exist, or is that something that it's an individual event yet until maybe someday that will be part of it?
Yeah, so far it's all individual pieces. We may create a package, and we've started to get that input. Just make it easy.
People are going to ask.
We just want to do just one package. There's a lot of ways to grow an event, and with an event like this that's in a rural area, there's not hundreds of hotel rooms available. So we felt one of the best ways to grow was to extend the event, have people come early or stay longer. So we're, that's the plan, that's the hope, and the initial feedback has been super positive. Yeah. And it, it's interesting. I describe for someone, it's kind of an idea that was hidden in plain sight. There are many site-based festivals around the country and around the world, and there are a lot of distributed festivals. I don't know that there's a festival that is both a distributed festival and a site-based festival, and so we're excited, and it's cool to be excited 27 years in, and to still be changing things and innovating, but you have to,
Humble beginnings to where it is today.
Yeah.
Jim Cuddy from Blue Rodeo as one of the feature acts. So much great music. Tell me a little bit about his commitment. I know he was here as part of the Junos. Is that was he approached before that, or?
Yeah, I believe he was, actually. I think we started poking at Jim months ago.
Yeah.
And he's got a great and competent team, and so it wasn't too difficult, and we're just thrilled that he's coming. He's obviously one of the Canada's most beloved frontmen.
Just recently named for the Songwriter Hall of Fame in Canada.
Yeah, and I mean, it's no surprise. He's written the soundtrack to a lot of our lives, you know, and he'd be in a small handful of people that you could say that about, you know. So we're super excited for Jim to come.
The website, folks want to look up stanfest.com. Can you book accommodations through that, or your portal for that kind of information, Troy?
Yeah, you can book on-site accommodations directly through the website, but there's also a lot of information there on how to find other accommodations, be that hotels or cottages or that sort of thing. And we have a great team that's very inventive, and we always seem to manage to find a way to make it possible for folks to attend. And
right. So let's, Steve McIntyre as the artistic director, give me your best pitch. Tell people why this is the festival, if they've never been to Stanfest, why they need to show up this year.
The people. It's the people in Canso, it's the people of Guysborough County. They own this thing. They're so proud of it. The music is of course, it's going to be top shelf. There's no doubt about that, right? You look through the roster and you'll just fall in love with it. But I've always felt that it's just the people and the vibe there that weekend. It's you want to hug everybody because everybody's smiling. You know, you're in a beautiful coastal fishing community. You know, everybody's so kind and humble. It's just the place to be last weekend in July.
So, Troy, after 26 years, you get to make the pitch why people should come back and not miss this one if they've been to one before.
Yeah, well, you know, where do I start? You know, I think everybody who's had an attachment to this festival over the years has that same connection that I have to Bruce, and I think that alone will be one of the sweet spots of the weekend. This the new roadshow. I don't think there's a more pure, organic way to experience music than in a community hall with 80 or 90 people smelling the fish chowder cooking, you know, and the coffee brewing, you know. So we're going back to our roots. We're making it simple. And then, like Steve said, you know, it's just, you know, there are festivals that have mega headliners, but then there are a few festivals that have more, you know, over 50 artists, and just the volume and the depth and the diversity of artists. You know, we used to say that we're the best, we have the best artists that you've never heard of. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a discovery event. It's always been that. It's a tastemaker event. We've seen countless artists whose careers have been elevated. You know, they started on that stage, on a small stage, and eventually they're on the main stage. Mm-hmm. You know, Matt Anderson, Irish Mythen, Dave Gunning, you know, the list goes on and on. Yeah. We put a book out in 2021, and it's interesting to look at that book. It tells the story of the evolution of the festival, but it really is kind of the story of the evolution of East Coast music. Mm-hmm. So we're pretty proud of that, of the model and the history, and those who know.
Yeah. No better storyteller than Dave Gunning, and not all of them are about J.P. Cormier. He's just again, West Pictou High School.
Yeah.
Okay, so just before we go then, what are you most looking forward to, Steve?
I'm most looking forward to just looking out over that field and seeing everybody smiling. You know, it's a given. It happens every year. Looking forward to reconnecting with friends, family. You meet so many people at a festival like this, and 27 years in, my gosh, you're pretty good friends with most of these people. You know, we've got some of the best people in our corner and on our production teams, our technical people, our volunteers. I mean, it's really well done, well run. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to that sea of smiles, you know. Yeah.
The same question to you, Troy.
Well, I'm from Canso. I grew up there. I saw the community at its strongest when the fishery was vibrant and flourishing, and I saw the community at its worst when the fishery collapsed. And really the festival grew out of that. So I think for me, the ultimate payoff is, on Thursday when thousands have arrived and the community is just thriving. And it's the center of the universe, and it, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into producing this, and some of it's uphill, but the payoff, there's many payoffs, but the biggest payoff is to see that audience, and when the music starts, and this community is back together, the festival community. There's just so many elements to it. It's the sight, the sound, the smell, the food. It's just. I think we live for it. It's a fix that we need every year, and after all these years, we have this enormous audience that has that same bond. Yeah, so it's been a real privilege to be able to lead this project and do that for the community every year. Yeah.
Well, it's a place to get away from all of the hustle and the bustle, to join a community, to join in with each other in fellowship and song, and just have a good time, to let your hair down if you have any. Thank you for sharing. Folks need to find the website is stanfest.com. Starting from the Monday, the pre-stuff, the Stanfest Roadshow, and leading up to opening night Thursday and right through the weekend. So I don't know, do you say break a leg when it's something like this? I don't know what the...
Yeah, I guess that probably applies. Yeah.
Have a damn fine time, because I know you are going to have one anyway.
Absolutely.
So, thank you both for doing this.
Thanks for having us.
And Troy.
Thanks, Sheldon. Great to see you.